Cultural literacy has been attacked by some liberals on the assumption that I must be advocating a list of great books that every child in the land should be forced to read. But those who examine the appendix to this book will be able to judge for themselves how thoroughly mistaken such an assumption is. Very few specific titles appear on the list, and they usually appear as words, not works, because they represent writings that culturally literate people have read about but haven't read. Das Kapital is a good example. Cultural literacy is represented not by a prescriptive list of books, but rather by a descriptive list of the information actually possessed by literate Americans. My aim in this book is to contribute to making that information the possession of all Americans. The importance of such widely shared information can best be understood if I explain briefly how the idea of cultural literacy relates to currently prevailing theories of education. The theories that have dominated American education for the past 50 years stem ultimately from Jean-Jacques Rousseau, who believed that we should encourage the natural development of young children and not impose adult ideas upon them before they can truly understand them. Rousseau's conception of education as a process of natural development was an abstract generalization meant to apply to all children in any time or place, to French children of the 18th century, or to Japanese or American children of the 20th century. He thought that a child's intellectual and social skills would develop naturally, without regard to the specific content of education. His content-neutral conception of educational development has long been triumphant in American schools of education and has long dominated the developmental, content-neutral curricula of our elementary schools. In the first decades of this century, Rousseau's ideas powerfully influenced the educational conceptions of John Dewey, the writer who has most deeply affected modern American educational theory and practice. Dewey's clearest and, in his time, most widely read book on education, Schools of Tomorrow, acknowledges Rousseau as the chief source of his educational principles. The first chapter of Dewey's book carries the telling title, Education as Natural Development, and is sprinkled with quotations from Rousseau. In it, Dewey strongly seconds Rousseau's opposition to the mere accumulation of information. Development emphasizes the need of intimate and extensive personal acquaintance with a small number of typical situations, with a view to mastering the way of dealing with the problems of experience, not the piling up of information. Believing that a few direct experiences would suffice to develop the skills that children require, Dewey assumed that early education need not be tied to specific content. He mistook a half-truth for the whole. He placed too much faith in children's ability to learn general skills from a few typical experiences and too hastily rejected the piling up of information. Only by piling up specific, communally shared information can children learn to participate in complex cooperative activities with other members of their community. This old truth, recently rediscovered, requires a countervailing theory of education that once again stresses the importance of specific information in early and late schooling. The corrective theory might be described as an anthropological theory of education, because it is based on the anthropological observation that all human communities are founded upon specific shared information. Americans are different from Germans, who in turn are different from Japanese, because each group possesses specifically different cultural knowledge. In an anthropological perspective, the basic goal of education in a human community is acculturation, the transmission to children of the specific information shared by the adults of the group or polis. Plato, that other great educational theorist, believed that the specific contents transmitted to children are by far the most important elements of education. In The Republic, he makes Socrates ask rhetorically, "Shall we carelessly allow children to hear any casual tales which may be devised by casual persons?"